And now, and we're live. Hey, I am Johns from Bolt Fun, and we're on another Meet the Makers. I think this is the last Meet the Makers for the year, and I'm joined by Vincent of Lampo. It's a lightning node that you're building. Crazy. That's
Yep.
amazing.
Yeah.
How are you doing, Vincent?
Fine. Thanks to close the year with me. So it's always fun to talk about interesting
Yeah,
topic.
yeah, man. I was telling you earlier, it's been like quite a bit of crazy year. We had four different tournaments, hackathons that we put on. Um, we're doing like a wrap up right now, and I get tired just like looking at like the stats and stuff. I'm like, it's like I don't know if it's like a PTSD kind of thing where I'm like, oh my goodness, it's like that was a lot of work. But we've seen some amazing projects, like yours and stuff come out from the community. And we just wrapped up our Legends of Lightning, our annual Legends of Lightning, which you also participated in. And yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's just really fulfilling, I feel. Seeing people like build like awesome shit. But to get to this point, it's a quite a journey that you have to take. And I would love to get into your journey, Vincent. As a builder, as a technical person, as a Lightning Protocol developer, how did you get here? How did you become that person that you are now?
Oh yeah. I think the best answer is by accident. I finished mm, my school and I was a football player. I left and I started going inside the school, and I said, okay, maybe I want to do nutrition stuff. And but then I was not so good with chemical information, so with chemical stuff, and I said, okay, maybe it's better in informatics or computer science. And then at some point I said, I get involved in this very fancy university in Italy that was so technical in the practical stuff, right? I started to getting inside coding and how is the mental model of coding from the beginning of the university. I get so involved in that, and I say, okay, maybe this is a good plan to build my career on top. And then I start my coding with some other jobs that I was on the open source. I was lucky to work always on the open source side. So and then I finished my first thesis on Bitcoin, and I said this is a good place
Your
to write
thesis?
code. Yeah, my
Which
thesis on.
which university did you go to, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh yeah, University of Potenza is the first, and
Okay.
and then I moved in the University of Pisa.
Okay,
But
okay.
my major is completely unrelated from Bitcoin. Only
Yeah.
the thesis is yeah.
They allowed you to do a thesis on Bitcoin? Because I've been hearing like a lot of people like, well, I mean, like a few years ago, it was like, yeah,
Yeah.
our teachers don't want us to do that, but
You need to choose. You need to have lucky to have a professor that is interested in this kind of stuff.
mm,
And for instance, my bachelor thesis was on chain analysis. Basically, every people in the university start, okay, let's track this transaction and how to understand. Then I went a period in Arizona to work with my open source project with Arizona State University, and then I came back in Italy and start my master in Pisa. That was in type system and programming languages, completely unrelated from stuff. Was my interest is programming languages, all this kind of type theory that is involved with Rust and all this kind of stuff. And then I finish, but at the same time, I get involved in Core Lightning, and I get involved with Rusty Russell, Christian Decker, and Lisa, all the team. And I start to contribute in Core Lightning, and then after 1 year, I was a maintainer of LM Protest, that is a library that's written by Rusty Russell to do interrupt tests between implementation, make sure that the implementation of the Lightning Network speak the same version of the protocol. And then I had a Brink grant for 2 years, and now I'm working with Ocean for the Lightning side.
Who's that? Oh, with Ocean Mining?
Ocean, yeah.
Oh, wow.
From
That's
the I
awesome.
am the Lightning leader here for
You're the Lightning guy.
stuff. Yeah,
That's amazing. You describe yourself as a Lightning protocol engineer, yeah, or developer. Like, what does that like specifically entail for, because like a lot of like people like in the community are probably doing things on like the application layer. They're using APIs and like yeah, like, whether it's RPC or whether it is like the LNURL the LNURL specs and stuff like that on top, Lightning address and whatever. But what does a protocol engineer do? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, I am not one of the designers of the protocol. These are done by smart people more than me. But I basically work on the protocol and try to implement some of the specifications that are proposed on the protocol, and start also to iterate on that. I am more from the practical point of view of the Lightning Network protocol developer. With the LM Protest library, I also get involved in the design of the specification sometimes. Make sure to understand that specification, the specification is clear and all this kind of stuff. So that allow me to write tests for an implementation, or maybe implement this feature inside Core Lightning itself. From the last year and a half, I am trying to be more involved in the protocol design stuff. I start to take some ownership of some particular feature in the Core Lightning implementation, because I am more involved with them. And now, for instance, I'm working for implement trampoline, that is a feature on the protocol, and also to research the channel jamming problem that we have on the Lightning Network, and this is connected by my last master thesis that I had in Pisa, where I did a open source framework for collecting data across implementation. So yeah.
Yeah, like to what you were talking about with like getting into like the specification side of things, I guess there tends to be like often with like protocol design and stuff, the people who design the protocol and then the people who have to implement it. Maybe you can talk about like well, like now you're coming from the implementation side and going into like the specification side. I think there's a lot of value coming there. But yeah, do you have examples, or like can you talk about like that disconnect, or is there like have you seen such examples of things?
Of moving from the implementation side to
No, from the
to
spec.
the
No, from the spec. Like a
okay.
spec. So it's easy to write a spec. I mean, not easy,
Yeah.
but it's like you don't have to deal with the hard work of like getting it actually functional. You're dealing with it more on a theoretical and like a mechanical side, right? When it like there are limitations, like when you put it into production, for instance. We have channel jamming and these kind of things. We probably never imagined the topography to be like what it is in the initial design. So yeah, like yeah, I just want to kind of like have a chat about that. Like, if you have any perspective to share from like.
Yeah. To me, this process is an iteration, right? Is when you also build up a software, you implement stuff, you deploy stuff, and then you say, okay, this stuff is not completed. I missed this point, and I need to start again from the design point of view, and then deploy the solution. And this is an iteration that I think is one of the features that is going through this iteration stuff is splicing, for instance. There is this work that is done by 1 year, but time to time there are some new problems that say, okay, maybe how work splicing with gossip and what we need to change or whatever, right? So is more an iteration problem that if you write a spec, for sure you are a more knowledge person from that during the lifetime of the Lightning Network or the Bitcoin, right? For instance, if you came from, I don't know, I started in the 2019 in the Lightning Network protocol implementation. So I can write an implementation, yeah, but maybe my proposal was proposed 2 years ago, and some people say, okay, maybe this doesn't work. There is a better way. So one thing I think start from the implementation and moving from the specification point of view is a little bit easier because you are involved with implementing stuff and reading proposals. So you are time to learn how to jump in the specification side. And maybe what I'm trying to say is writing a specification is harder because you need to propose a novel proposal, and that is not proposal, I don't know, 10 years ago.
Yeah. There is some politics and stuff like involved
Yeah.
in that. Like, I kind of feel I don't want to get into that a little like too much, but I think something that I would love to hear your perspective on is perhaps there's in something that we've also seen in the past year is some kind of like a rising skepticism of the Lightning Network, right? I've been kind of like just at arm's length of it so far. There's other, like the conversation about, well, we shouldn't just only be investing in Lightning Network. It's broken. There's this, there's that, there's that. It leads to centralization. It doesn't scale, etc., etc. What's your take on that? Because obviously, well, I'm assuming that you're working as a engineer trying to fix some of these things. But yeah, what's your kind of outlook on the Lightning Network and some of this conversation that's been happening?
Yeah, I have an hard take on that, but I try to take the other way. And I think that one of the concerns that was raising in the last year and a half is given by, I think, overselling the Lightning Network like an easy and a ready solution. Say, okay, yeah, there is Bitcoin, doesn't scale, you can use Lightning. Yeah, but Lightning, what is the quality of production on Lightning, right? How many problems are fixed? How many problems are ongoing? And what is the best solution that we are proposing that is helping the Lightning Network to increase and not build on a broken Lightning Network version, try to work and to make the stuff working, right? There are these 2 point of view. One point of view is we are not a ready solution. We maybe it's not ready to scale. Maybe we'll never scale. And we need other kind of idea that will improve the protocol itself. But there are mini steps that will increase the quality of the product. For instance, one of the wallet that is super involved in the spec, but is also a very usable product is Phoenix, for instance. Now it is integrating and splicing that is an experimental feature. There is also liquidity ads that is recently added in I don't know, last version. I don't know if I have a beta access, so but it's out there. I see it, and so you can build on top this kind of stuff and try to make an usable product, or maybe try to build on a product some architecture that you need to maintain, but you will never scale in a build product, in a ready product. Like, okay, this is quality. I
For the
think one of
masses,
the yeah, I think you can build the architecture, but then you need to scale also the architecture if you onboarding everything, right? So you fix a problem maybe, and but you create another problem with building the architecture, and then you end up with maybe the wallet of Satoshi that say, hey, we are not supporting anymore US, right? It is great. Wallet Satoshi works, but I think it's building some architecture that is need to be compliant with the law or with
yep.
how just I don't know. I have no idea how Wallet Satoshi is built, but anyway, I think if they pull out from US, there is some law compliant or whatever. So the short answer is that maybe the Lightning Network was oversold in the sense that there was too much hype, and also in the last year there are fee spike that never happened before. There are these mempool over usage, right? I don't know. I like to call over usage of the mempool space. So Lightning Network is suffering from this case that we never see before, right? For instance, fee spike is one of the main reasons that my Lightning node on my machine is stuck for channel that, hey, we disagree on fee because your node is using an API and my node is using Bitcoin Core, and yeah, we disagree on this kind of stuff. I guess we are on the way. I would like my part is more from I don't like to judge the technology without put some effort on it and say, okay, this maybe is doable or is quality implementation, right? Maybe say, oh, payment is broken, but maybe the payment implementation is not so good, right? And all this kind of idea.
Yeah. I mean, you're definitely right about it being like an iterative process. But I guess, I hope that, we do take I don't know, like we start looking at things like objectively, especially when it comes to like user experience. There's some challenges that we're kind of like waiting for technology to kind of catch up on. Like for example, offline payments. Like the reality
Yeah.
is like Lightning is like non-custodial. Bitcoin, if it is Lightning, it's gonna be on the mobile phone. Mobile phones are not always on. Right now, you mentioned trampoline payments and stuff like that. Those are quite important features. I don't know how much kind of like time and stuff are being put into that kind of development. I feel there's certain technologies and parts of and specs and stuff that don't, like the async payments and stuff like that, they don't get as much attention or put like very much in focus by maybe companies or like the developer ecosystem and stuff like this. But yeah, we're gonna need all those components getting iterated on for us to, have that, worldwide scale payment system.
Yeah, no, you are true. But well, one of the feature that you mentioned is trampoline async payment. They are not getting attention, not just because the company are not interested into it, but I think there are blockers like Bolt 12. There are onion messages that are using in async payment, I guess. So I think while we are going to roll up all these basic features that are maybe unrelated by the feature Bolt 12 is unrelated from async payment, but maybe they include under there some technology that async payment will use to unlock stuff, right? We are in an era where we are able. We want the update button on the phone, and we roll up feature on the fly, right? But I was one of this guy a couple of years ago. I said, yeah, this is easy, right? Fix the problem, push in production, and go. But when came with Bitcoin, say when you push in production, you can have many other problems, and then people start to be angry. Also, say, hey, my channel was closed because now I lost $20 or more than $20 if you are
Well,
disputed. Yeah.
yeah.
So at this point, you say, okay, maybe we slow down a little bit the production point and say, and we push only the feature that we are sure that are well tested, are production ready. From the other point of view is also that there are missing from the people that go to the spec and try to implement stuff on the implementation side. This is only my point of view. Maybe I am missing because I code too much and I miss the context with the reality. But we are really, there are the companies that are building this Lightning node, but we are really few guys that are implementing feature outside of this company, maybe with a grant or something like that. So at some point, there is the company that will not scale. Maybe there are some business plan that they need to respect, right? Because they have a company. Also, they hire a company. So I don't know how it works, this kind of stuff. But from the grant point of view, you can scale by having more people that are working on, because they want trampoline payment. For instance, I want trampoline payment in my core Lightning node, so I try to seek funding. Say, hey, I will go to implement it. I don't want see channel jamming because this is a big problem. I try to fix it, right? Maybe there are people that are interested in payment and try to improve the payment side. I think this is the only way. The only thing missing around the ecosystem is that we are missing people that say, okay, I am really interested in that, right? I don't want just using it. I want also try to implement it. And yeah, I have in mind a little bit the how to say the mental model of the Linux kernel, right? The Linux kernel, you are a company for the kernel, and then you make a patch on it. Is not Linux anymore that implementing feature, right? Are you as a guy that want a feature that will go to implement it and push inside the protocol or the implementation or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely right about the funding aspect of this, and I guess we have been seeing a lot of attention. Oh, there we go. We got J Deluxe saying, "Super nice to share your story," and build, share, rinse, repeat. For sure, for sure. Um, yeah, funding is definitely something that is like overall just lacking, whether it's for startups or whether it's for open source builders. I mean, the problem of funding in open source, that's a whole other question.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, we could like go into that one quite deeply, but maybe we start talking about all these features that you're mentioning that you want to start implementing. You want to see it in core Lightning. You decided that, hey, I'm going to build a node myself with some of these things, right? I saw in your documentation, you mentioned that, yeah, it's using swappable, it's going to have a swappable API. You specifically use JSON RPC, which I thought that was quite interesting. But actually, maybe I'm skipping a little bit ahead. Perhaps you can talk about Lampo, talk about that one a little bit, give us a little introduction and some of the design choices that you've kind of like been describing so far, about things that you want to implement. Maybe some of, discuss like how you're actually doing that within Lampo.
Yeah, no, Lampo was an accident too. So, I was working on a LM protest because I was implementing LM protest. Lampo is a full node built with LDK. LDK is a very low level library to build Lightning node. You can build a Lightning node, but you need to build all the Lightning node architecture. You need to write your wallet, you need to write your Bitcoin backend API, all this kind of stuff. And I had the intention to write my small node for LM protest to make sure that LDK is able to speak the Lightning Node protocol, and also to give a tool to the LDK guy. And also, now that LDK is starting to be a lot of popular in the mobile wallet, there are a few mobile wallets that are using this. I want to make sure that this mobile wallet have the support of LM protest, right? Say, okay, I build my node in JavaScript or whatever. Now I can make sure that my node is spec compliant, right? If I open a node with a channel with Core Lightning, Core Lightning doesn't get upset for some weird bug that is also hard to debug. And I start to build this small toy node that should be just a toy, but at the end of the day was a small SDK, and say, okay, I will put some bit more effort on it, and I will try to build a Lightning node and see what I can end up to. Because my intention was my missing point around the ecosystem is that all these wallets that are building around LDK need to build their own Lightning node, and then integrate the Lightning node inside the mobile wallet. So, but you can skip, if you have a good SDK, you can skip that every wallet build the mobile wallet, but you can centralize the LDK the LDK full node in a SDK like the kernel, right? Mm-hmm. This is the idea of before. So the Lightning node fork the node, implement the feature, make the pull request, and be the maintainer of this feature inside the Lampo full node. So all the community benefit of your work that you are doing inside the wallet, but at the same time you are having all the trouble that you can have developing your Lightning node, maybe testing the node, all this kind of stuff. And for your mobile wallet for free, because there is just already a small community that is building this small SDK. So the idea was this. I started to build on it, and it takes a while because I work on it on my free time. And after a couple of months, I say, okay, maybe if I am able to push a little bit on the finish line, I am able to have a ready solution to say, hey, this is my prototype. If there is any interest, we can keep building together on it. Me, because I am interested in LM protest, you because you are building your Lightning node or your mobile wallet and you want to use a LDK node for free.
Yeah, and you also got someone to help you out. I see there's another maker on the team, Tarek, as well.
Yeah. I have two guys that is helping me. They start with me with the Summer of Bitcoin. The Summer of Bitcoin is I do mentoring stuff, and then these two guys was interested to keep learning Rust and also the Bitcoin ecosystem. I said, I have this project, you can play with it, and they are helping me on all this, having put request review, just saying, okay, let's say this is not right, or I don't understand this piece of code. So I try to make the implementation easy to read. So you don't need to have the Rust superpower to understand the code. You need just to read the code and say, okay, makes sense. And I can use this without any knowledge of Rust. That is a little bit my goal with the Summer of Bitcoin. Say, make easy the people jump inside the Bitcoin ecosystem. Also, if you don't have knowledge, because my project that I'm working is so easy to learn that you can onboarding also without knowledge. So if this guy is helping me, this mean a little bit that, or they are very good with Rust, or that the project is easy to start for newcomers.
Yeah, I noticed on your Boldfund profile, you said programs must be written for people to read and only incidentally for machines to execute. I kind of like that. But who knows, with the advent of AI, who knows what this is going to end up, what the code is like.
Luckily, we are not there yet.
We're not there yet. We're not there yet. We still humans are still needed. We still can peek into the machine and see what it's doing and
Yeah.
understand it. And, um,
At
you
least.
know, there's a few features in Lampo.
Yeah.
Specifically, I want to highlight here though because I think it's quite interesting using a JSON RPC.
Yeah.
I'm assuming over HTTP. Um, yeah.
Is implementing JSON RPC protocol, but the transport layer is completely unrelated. So Lampo by default, Lampo is a core that if you
Mm,
give you if you can register any RPC call with
mhm,
an handler. And you can register any handler, and your handler is an API, right? So let's imagine that you want to build a Unix socket for the command line. You create a Unix socket handler where you implement all your RPC call, and then use this RPC call, and then you register your handler inside the Lampo core. So your Lampo now is able to speak the JSON RPC 2.0 API over Unix socket. Then you want to say, okay, but now I am building for my mobile wallet. On the mobile wallet, you don't have access to the disk, right? You cannot use a Unix socket. So maybe you want the API on memory, right? Maybe you want a minimal API on memory. So you create your own memory handler, in-memory handler, and you register it to Lampo core, and then you spin up a Lampo without any Unix socket, but just with any memory stuff.
gotcha.
My goal was just provide a core that is independent from the API point of view, because I am coming from Core Lightning, and in Core Lightning we are having this blow up of API, JSON RPC over Unix socket, gRPC API. We have the REST API, and then there are some other guys that will invent any other protocol in some other era, and we need to support also in Core Lightning that, right? My take was at the opposite. I give you the possibility to implement any kind of API that you want, and if you implement it, you may want to maintain it because it's coupled with your software, and I think in this way you can scale a little bit better if you have the guys that is using your protocol say, okay, this is a protocol, an API that is missing the REST API. I will implement it my pieces that I needed, and then I will put inside the repository. Then someone else need another incremental changes, and then start to growing up without that I support as a unique developer only in my free time, all this kind of usage, right?
Yeah, I mean, like a lot with these projects, the difficult part is like, getting the community behind it to maintain so it isn't just the one guy in his free time,
Yeah.
especially for something like a Lightning node. And like, it is an ambitious project that you're working on, and obviously you're well qualified for it. But you of all people know that like for these kind of things that we're doing is so complex. We do need a lot more people
Yeah.
to help us out. And stuff. So like besides the summer of Bitcoin, like students and stuff, and mentorship sessions, like what other ways are you trying to like build up the community for Lampo? Or what any
Currently,
you have?
yeah, no. My plan is basically be able to have a full node, a minimal full node that is able to open a channel and use LDK like a real full node, make a backup of the channel. And one of the dreams that I have is have the on-chain wallet connected me with my hardware wallet. So I can interact with the hardware wallet if I want open a channel or close a channel or whatever. So I can accept from my hardware wallet. Then I am helping the VLS team that validation remote signer project for Core Lightning, and I want dispatch all the wallets fancy validation to them, right? Support validation signer as a first class of signer. So the wallet is managed by them. And say, okay, I am sure that I can tell people, say, okay, you can test on mine because there are more qualified people than me that are thinking all the day about security, how to manage a wallet, what are the steps that I need to do. So the thing is, I want to build a tool that are missing around the community that I am interested to have inside a Lightning node, and then have a way to have a way to say people, hey, I have a prototype, maybe this is good for you, and then hoping that the people are starting to contribute on it. Also, I am hoping that the request for LDK node, full node, is very high. Right now, there are not enough Lightning Network full node that you can go to contribute. So, yeah, I'm trying to build what I would like to see, and how it is difficult to build this kind of tool that I would like to have, and then hoping that this is interesting for other people that are already building on top of it.
Yeah, something that we promote and the community Bolt Fund is like building in public. And it's sometimes uncomfortable for folks because it's like, well, it's not ready yet and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But from being in open source communities that have like started and kicked off and kind of like started snowballing and become like from a few people to like actually like a bigger sustainable community, I realized that sometimes you might not have the perfect solution available to present,
Yeah.
but rallying people around the mission is also another path that you can take to get that help so that it kind of picks up its own momentum. Obviously, I do understand that, like, it's possible then for things to sway and like, a bit of bike shedding to happen. And, you kind of like need to like put them like creating that first awesome version, kind of like that prototype version kind of like sets the marker and say, okay, this is the starting point. But I do think there is some value in kind of like opening that process up a little bit early on. But every project is different. Every founder team and stuff like that is different. But that's just my take on it. We're actually experimenting or like starting to do this on Bolt Fund right now as well, because Bolt Fund as a platform, it is an open source project, but we've kind of kept it like to ourselves to develop. I do want to kind of like open it up to people. So what we've been doing is like writing up about like, hey, here's some technical things that we're doing and but that takes a lot of time, like trying to expose, like not just showing, hey, here's a pull request or here's our GitHub we're building in public, but like explaining like our decision making of like why we're designing our commenting system with Noster and like what's the challenges for development, and so people can see part of that process. Because I think it's like super valuable for folks to be able to have that example to see, and then it kind of like ideally it will like open up them to be able to kind of contribute. Hopefully we'll see how it works. I'll tell you.
No, it's always the first approach on the open sources on this build on public is always hard, I guess. And the idea that I release on public Lampo in Christmas Eve, just because I usually do my side project and release on the Christmas
on
Eve
holidays. Yes, with your fantastic
No, I usually do that from my first year of coding. So and yeah, it's tradition, right? So and one thing that I decided to don't build all the design in public is because I remember my first period on Lightning that I test all the 3 implementation, and I have this feeling that okay, I test this implementation, but it was not working. So I have this bad feeling that I bring with me. So the first time that I tested in 2018, this implementation crashed the first time. So now I am more involved. I am more tended to use other implementation because yeah, I have my ranking of stuff, and I think also when you build something in a language that is difficult like Rust, you can blow. Rust is a language that okay, all the people build stuff in Rust, but try to import different dependencies and security issue when you build a Lightning node is always super hard to decide what is included. So I try to build also, for instance, a mini async server in Rust. This is hard to do that, right? If you build this in public, maybe you get some people that help you, but at the same time, you get some people that want to test the solution and say, hey, this doesn't work. Say, yeah, but it's not ready yet, right? I know it doesn't work. And maybe they are testing a platform that you are not able to test it. So they are creating rumor that you say, yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know how to do that because I'm not ready that. And also another thing is that maybe people can use real money on it and can start to lose stuff and say, okay, maybe it's better start a little bit private and say, I share with friends, I share, hey, you can hack, and the code was open, right, on my GitHub instance, Githia instance. So I have a Git where I store my code. So you can access the code, but you need to have some hits, right? You need to find the surprise before, right?
Yeah, I could agree with you there, especially on the point of like, it is money and like, please don't like test, like be too experimental. And I think that's something that our space has to like wake up a little bit too about like, hey guys, not calling out any names. Of course, it's like difficult, but like through like for the past few months we've been hearing like whether it's like companies like coming out of the US, all these custodial services, for instance, but then we also have instances of like some hacks and stuff, and it's difficult and sad because as an open sourcer, you're just like, hey, I'm building this thing and I put it out because I think it's cool. But then, somebody actually loses like a lot of money.
I think using it's their decision, but it's a little bit different, right? If you take my example of the Linux kernel, right, you run your fancy patch, at least you are not able to boot your system, right? And say, okay, I don't lose much. But maybe people lose money for a bug that you wrote because you are not able to understand the library that you are using because you copy and paste code somewhere else. And people lose money, and this is not so friendly. But this was not my my fear, because you can say, okay, this is we don't support mainnet, right? You cannot run Lampo on mainnet. But the thing is that I am trying to build an idea that I have that I am already using in LM protest. So I try to put a minimal prototype that I am using. So I am the only user, that I am happy to be the only user. But then when it is ready, I am able to open a channel. I have a test suite with Core Lightning already. I have LM protest already built. So I have the minimal architecture that helped me to continue my developing of Core Lightning. Maybe if I am debugging a bug with LDK, between LDK and Core Lightning, I have already the tool already built. And I deploy the minimal tool case for me, and with hoping that there are someone that is looking for the same solution, and maybe they want build a prototype before on Lampo and say, okay, maybe we need our implementation of Lightning Node, right? But I start also to talk with some wallet implementation, but they don't was not a lot of interesting on the idea, because they already choose the idea of the way to build the Lightning Node, right?
the stack and
But
stuff.
yeah, but at the end of the day, I have more feature than them, right? I am compliant with Core Lightning. I have LM Protest already implemented. I run BDK on the edge, the new alpha version, so it's a little bit complicated to use. I manage async event inside the Bitcoin LDK throw you event, but then how you throw the event to your application, right? This is the other part. So I came up with the design, and I think most of the if you are building a mobile wallet, you build your the part that you are interested in, right? And maybe if you need to increase your capacity of feature, you need to build a lot of more work, right? And the idea of Lampo is, okay, we are already building all this feature because we need already. Maybe you can use it with your API, with your all this kind of stuff. And one thing that I think is important of Lampo is wallet independent. So, for instance, I am building now with Bitcoin Core wallet. So Bitcoin Core works, right? And we are sure that works with Bitcoin. So I am using Bitcoin Core wallet right now. I have a BDK wallet on a pull request. But then if you imagine that there is an on-chain wallet, like Peach, for instance, the peer-to-peer application, they are on-chain wallet, but they can support also, for instance, the Lightning wallet, right? But this kind of use case, you can take Lampo and you use your wallet directly, because you tell Lampo, hey, this is the interface that you need to respect to call our mobile wallet. So you don't need another mobile wallet, and you need to do black magic to say, okay, this is only one mobile wallet. Instead, are two mobile wallets that you try to keep in sync. So Lampo is just a minimal tool case where you say, okay, I want to build a wallet that use my on-chain wallet. You can. I want to use my API. You can. And I want to use my signer. You will be able to do that. But the idea was to have a minimal tool case, and then if there are people that are are looking for a solution, for sure they are trying to look at it and say, okay, maybe this is something that we can work on, and they start to contribute, right? But you will never know.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential with this project. I'm definitely going to be keeping my eye on it. We'll see. Yeah, I'm super interested in the LDK space as well. Actually, to that, like, why did you choose LDK specifically? I'm curious, and like what are some of the benefits that LDK exposes in terms of like developer kit and stuff?
I started with LDK because I was supporting LM Protest for LDK. LM Protest already support Core Lightning, and then I started to involve to be more involved with the LDK idea, because was one missing feature inside the ecosystem, right? There are at least one of two persons that are unhappy with all the implementation and say Rust fix this, right? Maybe. And they now can use an implementation in Rust because it's faster, or all this kind of stuff that are building around Rust. And but it was a missing feature. I think it's also having an LDK is also a more extendable. You have more extensibility, because if you want build an RGB support, for instance, there is already guys that have a a prototype of LDK that are working with RGB. So you can tweak a little bit the Lampo to support RGB directly,
Oh, wow.
and you can imagine how you want to build a feature, you fork LDK, build a feature, and then you have already a Lightning node that you need just to tweak the LDK version and say, okay, now I support not the core LDK version 180 or whatever, but I support my LDK 0.1. And I have already a Lightning node that is able to do basic stuff with LDK plus the stuff that I need for my extension stuff.
The custom features, yeah.
It's the more.
You go.
If you think that Lightning at some point will scale, there are some company exchanges that put some effort on it because they want a feature, and they want the feature only for the beta version for prototype. I think LDK is the best solution that we have right now to say, okay, we are prototyping this solution. We don't know how it works, but works on our prototype, and then we start to build on it. RGB is one of an example because there is already a full node that is written with RGB support, my next step is trying to reach the capability of RGB and try to take over this small community of RGB people. Say, okay, maybe we work together on this Lampo node because we need a full node, and you support RGB and I do other stuff.
That's a cool way to kind of bootstrap the community as well. I like it. I'm super interested in what happens with RGB as well. I guess there's a lot of tooling and stuff. I haven't been able to explore tooling and stuff that's still needed, but I haven't been able to explore that ecosystem as yet. Maybe something next year, we'll see. But Vincent, I want to thank you so much. We're coming up to time. I think me and you could keep on chatting for quite a while. I really enjoyed this. I would love to have you on again sometime to do a check-in with you on the project. We also have these office hours next month. It's 3 hours with Peak Shift, the agency, our agency that kind of is behind Bolt Fun, right there.
Okay.
And if you need any design help, or if anyone else is out there need some design help, we'll have some links up to book a session with us. It's going to be on Tuesdays and Thursdays for the whole month of January. So design session. It could be for developer experience, documentation, but it could also be some of the pathways to get the community to contribute, and it's using design thinking, not just to produce pretty pictures, but actually thinking about whatever kind of problems that you might have, whether it's communication, whether it's developer experience, user experience, whatever it is. So I would like to also invite you, Vincent, to if you need some help, because I think the project is super cool, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what that prototype comes to.
We hope there is some interest from the community, for now it's working well with my LM protest and stuff and all my architect. I have a simulation test between Core Lighting and LDK. I am the first one that having this system, so Lampo is already helping in some way, hoping that there is some also better solution for usability of and accessibility for people. Say, okay, I need a better something, and they start to contribute with EDR and maybe implementation.
Thank you so much. And as you said, step by step, incremental movements will get us there. Take care, Vincent. Take care, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us at Meet the Makers, the last one for the year. All right. Peace.
Bye.